All right, are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll let you count. I'm not going to say anything.
No, you're going to ruin it.
Nope.
You're going to ruin it
Nope.
this time. Yeah. You're going to ruin it.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm going to count.
Okay.
Don't ruin it. Elyse?
I'm not.
Vow, view, vow, view, vow, view, vow, view, vow to view, vow, 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 vow to view,
Vow to view each other's movies, even though we don't always like them, but it's okay because we love each other and movies too.
Hey everyone, welcome to Vow to View, your Doof media podcast all about marriage and the things we make each other watch. My name is Elyse Daly.
And I'm Scott Daly.
And together, we're the Dailies. The Dailies.
I just thought it was weird. Like,
We're the Doofuses.
well, let's not go that far.
We're the Doofs.
You're the doof.
The Doofettes. The
This
Doofs and Doofettes.
This week on the podcast, we are doing reboots. Remakes.
I forgot why we're doing reboots and remakes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We just told about Doof. We're doing reboots
Oh,
and remakes
yeah.
because we relaunched the website.
Well, see, my mind has been completely on construction, and so I was like, did we really say we were going to do that because my school's getting a makeover?
It's amazing how
What?
you just automatically assume that whatever we're doing,
I couldn't remember.
it's about you.
I couldn't remember.
Why are we doing this thing? It's got to be about me. That's the first thing you go to.
I do like me.
Well, everybody likes you.
Oh, that's sweet. I don't know if everybody does.
Everybody likes you.
I know some people that don't like me.
What? Who?
I do.
What's their name?
I can't.
I need
I'm
their
not gonna, no.
I need their address.
Why?
I need to find them
Why?
because I have a very particular set of skills.
Oh, you're going to take them out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To dinner and thank them.
For?
Not liking you.
Why would you?
See,
why would
this
they
went,
thank me?
This went a place you weren't expecting.
Yeah, it did.
This
It went there.
This is the podcast where each and every week, Elyse and I pick a movie, we talk about it, and
We
make each other watch it.
watch
I missed
those
that
movies.
part. I missed that part.
We watch those movies unless they're not available anywhere.
And then we just pretend like we watched them.
And that's only happened once, but we had already seen it previously. Because there's really not many movies I can find that I've watched that Scott hasn't watched.
This is,
He watches a lot of movies.
it's true. This is true.
Yeah,
it
I'm sorry,
makes it difficult.
This is
This week on the podcast,
this week on the podcast.
we're doing reboots.
Reboots and remakes.
Remakes. Elyse picked a movie called A Little Princess, and I picked The Fly. So we're going to talk about those two movies.
Yeah, we are.
We're also going to talk about our roses and thorns for the week.
Rosies and thornies and thornies and rosies, 'cause every rose has a thorn.
Did you just make that up just right then? Was
Just
that just
right
like off the
then,
cuff?
yeah.
That was just like out of just brain vomit from Elyse Daly's head. Huh.
Well, I've done the rosies and thornies part before. If you listen back, you'll have heard it.
I usually zone out when you're
Yeah,
talking.
you usually
so-
shut me down when I actually sing at that tune. Were you impressed with the little bit then?
I mean, I wouldn't go too impressed.
Oh,
I liked it.
you liked it. You loved it. You want some more of
Now,
it.
see, all the goodwill is gone. That's why I stopped you. But first, before we get into any of that stuff, Elyse, what do we have to do?
Did you know that before we move on, the Goodwill, the Goodwill company.
Yes.
Did you know that the G was part or is part of a face?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that until in college. I drove past the thing like I don't even know how many times. And then one day I saw it and I thought, oh, that's a face.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
You said Goodwill.
That's it?
Yeah.
So your brain just goes to that story? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, Elyse.
Yep.
Before we do any of this other stuff,
Before we do.
what do we got to do?
Well, this was the last week of The Bachelorette. Was it that much throw up? I mean, it was a 3-hour long show. And we're not talking about Bachelor in Paradise
No.
this week. We're just going to be talking about The Bachelorette because we're going to finish that series and then we'll start Bachelor in Paradise next
Someone
time.
pointed out that our show has become half of us talking about The Bachelor. And this, frankly, my dear, is unacceptable.
Okay, well, I'll make it quick this time. Okay. So,
Where's your notes?
I was so just over it by this point. I didn't even take notes on this one. So this last week is whenever Becca's family meets both guys, and her uncle is there, her sister is there, her mom is there, her father passed away. I don't know if I forgot if her mom remarried, who the other guy there was. I guess her mom had remarried. But anyways, they were all there to meet Garrett and Blake.
Two men who, let's be honest here,
cry more tears than they could probably like fill up enough jugs to like give water to some village. They cry so much. So much.
They do.
But what were you going to say, Beth?
I was going to say they look identical, and you cannot tell the difference between the two of them at all.
So our, you know how I was texting my coworker about The Bachelorette back and forth? She's the one that I was also texting about the royal wedding. We just like the same types of shows. She said that she's always told her husband that she thought that Garrett looked like Tony Romo. And then he like walked in and he was like, no, I don't see it. And then he walks out of the room and he walks back in and Blake is on the screen and he goes, you know what? I do. I kind of see it. And she was like, that's not him. That's the other one.
Because they look exactly the same. I can't tell them apart. You could put them in front of me right now and I would not be able to tell you which is the guy that won and which is the guy that lost. Don't know.
Well, Garrett won. Blake lost.
Okay.
But really, Blake won.
Wait. Why?
Yeah, because he didn't get Becca.
Well, that's mean.
I'm just kidding. She seems like a nice person. She seems like a genuinely, like, you might be able to be friends with her, just like down to earth person, which is why she didn't make good television. You know, she's just a good person. But yeah, so her family met both of them. Garrett like cried in front of both her uncle and her sister, which is just, he's an emotional wreck. And then Blake met the whole family. The uncle like tried to have him sell Garrett out, and he felt like whenever he had met the family that he wasn't going to win. And then somehow the producers talked him into the fact that he was going to win, and it's okay, you can stick around. And then, you know, they both go there.
Is that the one that lost?
Yeah.
That's mean.
Yeah, I'm sure they were like, no, she likes you. Are even so, she said.
Like Garrett and Blake are just so like bland names that like they go in my head, and then I already forgot which is the one that won. I'm gonna be honest with you. I already forgot. Blake, is he the one that won?
I said he was the one that really won because he didn't.
So he lost.
So he lost,
Jesus.
But he won.
See, this is not helping.
Blake lost.
Okay.
So, anyways, after that, they each have their last one-on-one date, and then she picks who, and they do the whole. They come on a boat or in a car, and this time they came on a boat because they were in the Maldives. Maldives, right? Yeah, said it right. Anyways, and then you always know that the first person that gets off the boat is going to be the person that doesn't win.
Yeah, because you're not going to like propose and get engaged to a guy and then do the other guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be super awkward.
That would be really awkward.
First, they get like $30,000 engagement rings from Neil Lang
for free, as long as you stay engaged for a certain amount of time.
Oh, so you don't even have to actually get married. So if you stay engaged for a year, so let's pretend like it's a year.
Okay.
You get to keep that ring even if you break up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. This is like, we got to get in on this. This is like, we could take advantage of this. Sign up for The Bachelor, babe.
No, because then you're not on it.
Babe, it's okay.
No.
Just, you stay engaged. You work out a deal with the dude. It'll be fine.
And then we sell the ring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like Caitlyn and... I don't even remember what Caitlyn's guy's name is.
Wait, who's Caitlyn?
Caitlyn, the one that was the first Bachelorette that you ever watched.
Wait, they broke up?
No, they're still together, but they're still just engaged.
Oh.
They're not married yet, but their contract has probably expired on that ring, so they won't have to give that back.
Okay. As you stated.
Yes.
the finale is 3 hours long. It starts at 7, it ends at 10 p.m. And they do this thing where it's a live taping, which basically means it's just Chris Harrison sitting in front of a studio audience watching the show, and then they bring out the other people. And it's like the lamest thing ever. It's like the biggest waste of time. They used to do that after the Final Rose thing.
They did.
Where they would do the whole episode and then they would do the live taping afterwards. Now they just throw it all together. And it just makes it longer. Because I would never watch the after thing because I don't care about that. But it's like Chris Harrison once again like trying really hard to justify his own existence. Because like what'll happen is they'll have... I already forgot the name of the guy who lost that one. They'll bring him out right after they play.
Because he won, but he really lost.
Stop it. They'll bring him out right after they play the thing, and he'll be like, Chris Harrison will be like, so, that's the first time you've seen that since it happened, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Well, how does that make you feel? It's tough. It's really tough. I don't, like I said, that day, it was just really hard. And that's like the whole thing. Like that's the whole thing. It's just that back and forth. And it's just like, it's just really,
yeah, Scott, I do. I think that's just it.
Yeah.
You got it right.
Yeah. It's like, you hope that it's going to work out and then it doesn't. Well, let's bring out the person who just broke your heart and make you talk to her.
Because that was the first time you've seen that, right?
Yeah. And then they bring out the Bachelorette and he is like, well, what do you have to say to her? Well, I just, I'm really happy for you and I really wish things would have worked out, but I understand you had a rough decision and I'm just so happy for you. And it's like, this is the most boring shit ever. At least like be like, fuck you. Because
at least be like, you drug me through all of this. You had me meet your parents. You made me get down, or he didn't get down on a knee. You let me start proposing to you.
Yeah, this is a weird thing. So this is something I've never seen because I didn't watch the show. But you always told me that when it got down to the final two, normally the person would like, before they got to the boat where they're going to propose on, they would like knock on their door and have a private conversation with them in their room. That'd be like, look, like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want you to go any further with this. But every time I've watched it, since I started watching it, they go to the proposal. Not only do they go to the proposal now, but these women let the men start their proposal speech. And then like when they're in the middle of their proposal speech, probably in their mind thinking, okay, this is it. Like, she hasn't stopped me. Like, this is it. This is going to happen. They just go, wait. Hold on. And then they break their heart. And it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. And it has to be like the producer saying, hey, this is way better TV if we pull it to the very last minute. But it's just cruel. I mean, if these people are actually in love with each other, and that's debatable, blah, 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 blah. But if they are, that's fucked up. And
well, I think from seasons past, it's always been the girls that are like really strong personalities, like independent. Like they are very verbal. They're very like
verbal.
I think verbal. Like
they talk.
I think they very clearly communicate what they are thinking and what they are feeling. Those are the girls that do it beforehand because they're the ones that have their mind made up and they just know what they want to do. And the girls that are kind of wishy-washy, they are 100% certain, but they probably aren't 100% certain. And so they bring both of them out there, which is just like because they don't want to make a decision. But Allie Fedowski, whatever. She was the very first person to do that. And I was like slow clapping. Not really, but like I was just really happy whenever she did it because I was like, that's what you should do is especially whenever you have the two guys and they're the ones that are going to initiate the proposal, then that is something that you should not like take away from those guys. You know, like if they wanted propose to you, then like,
I mean, I'm imagining us in the middle of Central Park and me like working through my speech and you just going, wait. And then,
I wouldn't do that to you though.
I know. I'm
you.
just imagining what that would feel like for a person. And it's stupid. So is there anything else to talk about this?
It's over. Hooray.
This was a shitty season of the show. Like for a show that I already consider shitty, this was a shitty season of the show. And I think the show knows that.
I think that they did. And I think that that's part of the reason they haven't announced The Bachelor, because they don't know who to pick.
They want to take a little bit of time.
They have to actually choose someone who is going to, number one, give them better television. And number two, people will actually like and rally around. And I don't even know if any of the guys that she has had on this season are really like that. And I don't even know if any of the guys that are on Bachelor in Paradise that I have seen as of yet are candidates for that.
I wonder if that Joe the Grocer guy is them testing to see.
I think it is.
What the audience reaction. Like he was on the one episode and he's popular. And I think in old times, like they did with Becca, they would have like rushed on it and said, yes, look, he's social media popular. Let's do him. Yeah. And now they're a little more cautious. They're like, let's not only tape the Paradise shit, but let's play it and have people look at and see what people's reaction to him is before we do this.
And they normally record like 2 or 3 promos of who they are talking to in order to be the Bachelor. And so these like 2 or 3 guys think that it's actually going to be them because they've recorded it, and then they just end up choosing one quickly, and then they tell the guy literally the night before so that he can fly out to make appearances.
Maybe they're canceling the show.
I don't think they're going to cancel it. It's too much money. The whole franchise is too much money.
Is it? I mean, like, what's the ratings on this show? Because I used to see people on my Twitter feed talk about it, and I haven't seen that lately.
I think it's because our generation has actually kind of grown out of it a little bit.
Is this still popular for the youngsters?
I think it is.
All right.
It's got to be.
Elyse, once again, we talked about the show for way too long. Let's move on to our roses and thorns.
Rosies and thornies and thornies and rosies. Because every rose has a thorn.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Hey, Elyse. What's your rose for the week?
This was like, today is Wednesday.
Yes.
And today I went back to, okay. Let me backtrack for just a second. As of last Thursday.
I'm looking at the script and I don't know if this requires this much of a story.
Thursday, I reported back for work. And we know that because we all did the Back to Work episode with us.
We did.
But today was the first day that I have ever actually worked and been told to work from home. I'm a teacher who got to work from home today. And it's just like, it's so much better getting to work from home. And I'm so jealous of every time that you work from home, just because you get to be here and, you know, like cook food here, or you don't maybe cook food, but you get to eat food here, and you just get to sit and drink some coffee. And maybe if you want to watch a show, you can. If you want to read on the couch, you can. If you're working, you can. And I say all those things like the things that you were choosing weren't work, but I mean, like, you do work when you're at home, and I did work today, but it's just like, it's a totally different feel. And I have a ton of stuff that I still need to do. And I got a lot of stuff done today. And I still went up for a meeting this afternoon because there was a building that thankfully let us in. But it was just nice to be able to do that. I got to sleep in a little bit more.
I know, and I was 45 minutes late for work because you got to sleep in.
That's your fault.
No, it's your fault.
No, that's your fault.
I lean on you here.
You can get up.
Nah, I can't.
Yes.
I did get up and I said, Elyse, what time it is? And you said 7:05. And I said, shit.
Yep.
Okay. That was cool.
Fine. What was yours?
My rose
was a good
is our rebrand. It's Doof Media.
Woot woot.
We launched the new website on Monday. Everything went okay, except for one thing, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But the response seems to be good. People like the web design, which is good. The website's running a little slow right now, but I'm going to fix that.
Because it's getting so much traffic, right?
No.
Oh.
But I'm really in love with our new logo. I think everything's working the way I wanted it to, and the response is exactly what I wanted it to. People think it's really ridiculous and funny, and it's just, I don't know, it's worked out. Like, we've changed websites, we've changed hosting stuff before, and it's been messy, and so far, it's been pretty smooth. So that makes me very, very happy. So if you're listening to this and you have not checked out our new website, head over to doofmedia.com and check that out. It's new, it's shiny. I think it's much better for a podcast website than the old design was.
I agree.
All right.
It looks really nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Spent hours,
I
so
know
many
you
hours
did.
on that. So many hours.
I know.
All right,
And it
Elyse.
shows. Yes.
Let's go negative.
Okay.
What's your thorn?
So it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. We start school on Monday at 7:30, and I still have not gotten to get into my room to set it up. Mind you, I normally go about a week and a half before my kids come back in order to set my room up. And now we are going on 4 days is what's left. And we walked in today in order to put everything from the house, and they have not finished our cabinets. They have not put up my whiteboard in my classroom. The bathrooms are not completely finished. There are no blinds on the windows. We have our desks because we kept the old desks and they were just furniture and storage, but all of the other grades that did not keep the stuff, and they didn't pay for, but we bought new furniture. It's not even assembled yet. I don't know how it's going to get done. It's not all going to be done before Monday, and I'm just trying to breathe and realize that. But I don't know, number one, where my stuff is, and number two, if my cabinets and things aren't done, then even if I have my stuff, I can't put it up. And I can't really put stuff up in my room because for some reason they put the rest of the sound tiles that are not up in the cafeteria in my classroom. Why they chose my classroom, I don't know. I wish they didn't choose my classroom.
Because it's right next to the door.
I guess it is right next to the door.
So they needed somewhere to dump it.
We'll put it in the other classroom. But, I mean, I say it's my thorn, but it's going to happen. It's going to get done. It's not anything to
it's not going to be done.
Yeah.
But if you have 26 desks in your room and you have papers to give them to do work.
Yeah, because I have 26 kids in my class this year.
It'll get done.
It's going to be fine.
It's a disaster. Like, I am not what you'd call a handyman.
You're pretty handy.
But the work on those cabinets in the hallway and the lockers is shit. It's awful.
It's not done.
It's
not done.
Rushed. Well, it's not even that it's not done. It's the part that is done looks rushed and shitty. They're not level. The cabinets are not level. They're not even. They're not flush to the wall. It's rush work, and you can tell they were behind schedule and they did this shitty rush work, and you're gonna get stuck with shitty looking cabinets. And maybe they'll fix them over the course of the year. I don't know, but they look awful. They look really bad.
Well, as
Cool.
long as they hold materials, I'll be fine.
Cool.
And as long as they don't fall on the children, I'll be fine.
Well, Jesus, I hope not.
Yeah. Evidently some of the lockers aren't secured yet. I don't know.
I mean, that one cabinet's not secured. It's just sitting on top of a locker, which is, if the cabinet's not secured and the locker that it's sitting on top of is not secured, that could be a problem.
And my door's not in yet.
Yeah.
But I guess I knew that wasn't going to happen. It's okay. What was awful for you? What was your thorn?
The
thorny?
Facebook. So I said everything about my transition on my website went great.
Mm-hmm.
Launching the actual website, we had to change our Twitter handle. We had to change our Patreon handle. We had to change everything, and it all worked fine, except for our Facebook page. The Facebook page name was difficult. Facebook rejected my attempt to change the name, and then I appealed it twice, and they rejected my appeal twice. Facebook says that if I change the name of my page, it's misleading towards my followers because when they clicked like, they didn't click like on Doof Media. They clicked like on the Daily Planet. So changing my name would be confusing to them. They compared it to like having a page called I Love New York and then changing the name of your page to I Love LA. But
I don't love LA. I do love New York.
yeah, but that, I mean,
So now if I like New York and then you're going to change it to LA, that's not me.
yeah, but that's not what we're doing. That's a poor comparison. The name of the website is different now, so the Facebook page should reflect the difference.
I agree with you.
It's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And I sent them such a nasty email that ended with, I hope your stock continues to tank, douchebags.
You said that?
Yes.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was very mad. But I think,
But they did change it.
no,
I did.
I think
I thought they changed it.
I think I've gotten around their thing because the reason why they weren't letting me change it is because the Daily Planet was no longer in the name because the old name had the Daily Planet in it and then I was changing it. So what I did was I changed it to Doof Media Daily Planet, and I'm hoping that in a week's time because you can only change your name once per week.
Yeah.
In a week's time when I get permission to change again, I'm just going to delete the Daily Planet part and see if they let that. And I think it's going to work. And if it does work, it's the dumbest system I've ever seen. This is why nobody likes Facebook. Facebook sucks. I would not even use Facebook if I didn't feel like I had to advertise on all platforms. Stupid, and I hate it.
You just revealed your evil plan to everyone.
They're not listening. They're too busy helping Russians.
They're everywhere.
Fuck Facebook. Fuck Facebook. We will never be sponsored by Facebook. And that's my thorn.
I'm sorry. That was such an awful thorn.
It's so much worse than yours about...
I agree. I'm going to get over mine. It'll be fine.
No, I was being sarcastic.
So
it is
this week's
time to talk about our movies.
It is.
So I think you go first.
Me?
As per usual.
And that's true.
Maybe we should
Ladies
start.
first.
Maybe we should start taking turns.
Ladies
Equality.
first. Ladies first.
Elyse,
Yes.
what movie did you pick?
I chose the 1995 A Little Princess, which is a remake of the 1939 film entitled The Little Princess, starring none other than Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple.
Yes. And I think I might have actually seen the original because I used to watch Shirley Temple movies all the time. Captain January was my favorite. But I'm not 100% for sure. It was written, the novel that it was based off was written by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And then Richard LeGravins, whatever, wrote the screenplay, which he also did Unbroken, which was nominated, right? Unbroken, the one about the Olympic guy in World War II. And also Freedom Riders, which I liked. It was like a teacher inspiration movie. But it was directed by someone named Alfonso Cuarón, which you probably know from a little tiny movie called Gravity.
Have you seen Gravity?
Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, or maybe even Children of Men. He got to start with A Little Princess.
Was this his first film?
No.
I don't think it was.
But it helped build his resume.
Well,
So anyways, this is
it's a paycheck.
It's a movie about a young girl is relegated to servitude at a boarding school when her father goes missing and is presumed dead. The dad is Davos from Game of Thrones. He's the only one that I think really did much of anything outside of this movie.
Yeah, the little girl.
The kids didn't really do much.
No.
Camilla Bell was in the movie as a little girl, but you didn't know who she was. And I think she ended up doing mainly modeling stuff. She didn't do a lot of acting.
Okay, Elyse,
She's beautiful.
talk to me about this movie. Why you could pick any of Hollywood's thousands upon thousands of remakes and you picked A Little Princess. Why?
My sisters and I watch this movie all the time.
This is a common refrain.
I know. We loved it. And I think I really liked this one because the little girl in it was very imaginative and told these like crazy stories. And it always made me want to be able to tell stories like that. And so I vaguely remember like after watching this, like I wanted to write a story or like I wanted to tell a story like this and use the imagination like she did. And I never was really that good at it. I just never very that imaginative, like that writing gifted imaginative. Like I'm good at creating and brainstorming and making ideas, but I'm not necessarily a good storyteller creative. But it always looked fun in this movie. Like the way that her stories were played, the neighbor who was the guy from India that like ended up, it was weird. And I didn't quite understand that part about why they put that in there. And I'm sure in the book it might have been different, but I liked it. It's one of those movies where there's something sad with the fact that she thinks that the dad is dead and she does go into the servitude, but it's just like in the servitude. It has a happy ending. And despite it all, the girl, she, like lost hope for a little bit, but for the most part, she was always optimistic. And it was just like, it's just a happy.
I think that's why I don't like the movie very much.
Because she was optimistic?
No, it's not. So this is, I guess we should say this is the first time I'd never seen this movie before.
Or the original.
No. Okay. I think she's too perfect. And I think like I get what they were trying to do is she's this privileged woman that lived this privileged lifestyle and then had it all stripped away from her and then like lost herself. And then through the power of friendship and random Indian man that lives next door, she relearned her passion and her love of storytelling and her hope. I get that, but she's just like too good. She's like she's always says the right thing, is always the best. She's the only one that cares about the little black girl that's the servant. Like no one else seems to give a shit about her. She's the only one that cares about the crying girl. She's the only one that cares about the outcast curly-haired girl, who I think is outcast because she's more poor than the rest of. I don't know. And it's like the movie's playing with these, like it's kind of playing with classism and racism, and it brings these things up, but it doesn't. I don't know. Like I didn't feel like it landed on them enough, and I might be being too hard on the film. This is a kids movie.
It is a kids movie,
but I just feel like it didn't hit those beats in a way that it should. However, Alfonso Cuarón is a real good director, and this is a very good looking movie. For as much as I don't like the way the story unfolds, I love the look of this movie. I love the look of the boarding school. Like it's this little, like they didn't have a lot of money, but it's this little building like squat in between these two giant skyscrapers on either side. I think it's green, right? I think it's this little green building, and the uniforms that they have and the costuming and the lighting and the coloring I think is just so beautifully done. There's one scene that really jumped out at me is when near the end of the movie, when she's kind of taking her power back and speaking out against the evil headmistress. Yeah. Cuarón starts doing this crazy stuff with the camera where it's a cut back and forth. It's not over the shoulder. I think it's just a cut back and forth between the two of them, and he's changing the angles as they argue. So like it starts with the headmistress at a low angle, like which is dominance, that's showing she's in charge, and the little princess at a high angle, showing she's the one being dominated. And then as it's cutting back between them, it shifts the angles to where when the little girl takes control, she gets the low dominant angle, and the headmistress gets a high angle, showing that like she's basically been beaten. And it's like it's simple stuff. I mean, it's filmmaking 101, but like it's a directorial flourish that I don't expect from a low budget kids movie like this, and it really stood out to me. I think the atmosphere of this movie is very well done, and it reminded me. I mean, he did Harry Potter. It reminded me of Prisoner of Azkaban, which is just not story wise, but just the look of the movie and how the movie moved. And that's my favorite of the Harry Potter movies. So as much as I didn't like the story of this, I thought he's such a talented director, and it shows even on these. Like I think a talented director can make a lot out of a low budget, and that's what I think he did with this movie. Yeah, I liked it.
Well, I do think that she's supposed to. I mean, it's a little princess, so she is supposed to be princess-like.
Yeah,
but she was not nice the whole time. The girl that was rude, she was kind of snippy with her a couple times.
Yeah, but
and said
she's
that-
the jerk.
Well,
Like-
yeah, but I think if you're supposed to be a princess, then you'd be diplomatic and you wouldn't necessarily be like that to everyone. So I think that, you know, she wasn't perfect. Was she more perfect than all of the other ones? Yes.
Yeah.
But I also think that while she did have she did have more privilege than I would say most, if more than all. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, all of them.
Yeah.
I do think that I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I don't know. I lost it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, I do think it's okay to construct your character as this person who's like, as a result of her life, and I could see what they were trying to do. She lived in India. She had this very like globalistic like life where she didn't. It's ironic that she was living in India and she appreciates all races because she was living in India, which at the time this movie takes place, India was ruled by the British, and Indian people were seen as a lower class, and it was not good. But the movie it's fine. It's a kid's movie. It kind of just ices over that. Anyway, she's more worldly. She's more respectful of people that look different than her, and no one else is that way. I think if you construct her as the perfect person who has this terrible thing that happens to her, her father dies, and she loses all status and power, and I think I never felt like, even in the moments where she was like losing hope, that she had really lost hope. Like, I think that's the time where you make it not just depressing, but show that like it's changing her in really negative ways. And I never felt like, because the other servant girl was always nice to her, and that she was always nice back. Like I don't know. I just never felt like, I never felt that turn, and that combined with the fact that she was so perfect before, it just didn't work for me. Just didn't work. I'm sure it's better than the Shirley Temple one, though. Actually, I don't know. Shirley Temple one, they moved it from London to America. Because in the Shirley Temple one, it's a London boarding school, and then in this movie, it's an American boarding school. And I don't know why that was, other than maybe they just didn't want to get British-speaking actors.
I don't know. Shirley Temple wasn't British.
So what do you think? There's a lot of Indian imagery and storytelling. Like throughout the movie, she's telling the story of, and I'm blanking on the name of the Hindu god right now, but she's telling the story of a woman and her interaction with a Hindu god who's her father plays Davos Seaworth plays both her father, and he's made up in blue to look like, what is I can't, it doesn't matter.
I think it starts with an R.
Anyway,
I'm thinking Rashad, but I don't think that's right.
That's not it. And so, what do you think? Why?
Raja?
No.
Raja's the tiger.
You need to stop.
Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry. Yes, please continue.
What do you think? What was the purpose of the Indian storytelling and imagery, and like how does that fit in with what the movie's saying? It felt like tacked on, and like a little quote unquote problematic in places.
The Indian was the princess. Like, the girl in her story was a princess, and she was always told she was a princess, and whenever she went up to the attic for the first time, she drew the circle around her because that's what the princess did in the story in order to stay safe.
I get
and
that.
And so she was in the tower, and it was just, I think,
I'm saying why India?
Why India? Because she grew up in India.
Yeah, but they constructed the story that way.
You want to know why? Because Frances Burnett did it. I don't know why.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what thematically is the purpose of that?
I don't know. It could have probably been something else too, but.
All right, so let's move on then to my movie.
Your movie that you killed last night in our house? Did you kill the fly? I saw it. It was dead over there.
No,
It was a massive fly. I thought you killed it. It was
huge. I didn't kill it.
Oh.
I just got it out of the room
You
before I
killed
recorded.
Jeff.
You named the fly?
Jeff.
Why did you name The Fly?
After Jeff Goldblum.
Oh. Yes, I chose as my remake 1986's The Fly, directed by David Cronenberg, one of my favorite directors. And
What else did I looked through the list and nothing jumped out at me as to what he had done.
Videodrome.
I never
Just
watched
one
that.
of my favorite. It's all he loves body horror, so
Okay.
you're not gonna.
I really hadn't seen. I didn't think any of the other things because I was looking through all the other stuff that he directed and I hadn't really heard of any of it. But
Yeah,
I guess I
mean,
figured you would have probably heard of it.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of weird body horror type films that you probably wouldn't have done. He did The Dead Zone, which is that's a Stephen King book. He directed the movie based on that.
Oh, I remember that on the
recently,
shelf.
he's been doing some different stuff, but this was kind of like his bread and butter. He has a very interesting view of the world, and that's what his stories tell in it. So, The Fly stars Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, and John Getz, who's kind of a minor role, but he's definitely in it. It is about a brilliant but eccentric scientist begins to transform into a giant man-fly hybrid after one of his experiments goes horribly wrong.
It does. He gets really disgusting.
Yeah,
looking.
this is a remake of a 1956 movie of the same name that was one of those 50s sci-fi, like kind of, I'm not going to say goofy, but kind of campy. You know, there was a lot of like 50s sci-fi monster movies that were very campy, and it's a completely different movie. It's totally different, and it's very Cronenbergian, and I adore this movie. I think probably the first time I saw it was one of those like, you know, early teens moments where you're like awake late at night and you're flipping through channels, like trying to find something to watch to fall asleep to, and it was probably on one of the movie channels or something, and I saw Jeff Goldblum and I was like, yeah, it's Jurassic Park, and I started watching it, and I just like, I love like body horror, like transformation, like a monster transformation is just like, especially when it's practical effect, is just something I love. I just find it so like gross and disturbing, and I love that. Like American Werewolf in London is one of the biggest like practical transformation sequences in film, and I just adore it. And I love it in this movie so much. I think the thing is, this movie, like, it's a very weird movie, and it's a movie that I don't think would ever be made today. I don't think, I can't imagine a studio backing a movie like this today. It's a very deliberately paced movie. It's only like 95 minutes long, but the experiment that begins the transformation of Jeff Goldblum into Fly does not happen for 35 minutes into the movie. The first third of this movie is spent establishing the relationship between Brundle and Gina Davis's character, the reporter, which is important because this movie is a metaphor for abusive relationships and the monsters we can turn into in those relationships. So it makes sense that it's so important that the movie takes so much time to establish their relationship. And I just love it. I just love it so much.
So I was trying to think of if this movie wouldn't have been made now, why it was made then. And of course, Jeff Goldblum. Well, I think, of course, Jeff Goldblum, because now it's Jeff Goldblum. Like, Jeff Goldblum can get dinosaurs that'll go eat you at the draft house. Like, Jeff Goldblum is an institution, you know?
Yeah,
but this was before Jurassic Park. So is he like a big thing before Jurassic Park? Or was this just kind of like, I guess, one of those things that got made and he just happened to do it, and then now that Jeff Goldblum is Jeff Goldblum, it probably has a little bit bigger of a following?
I mean, Jeff Goldblum, like, was working for a while before this movie. I think I'm trying to remember what were his big movies. I mean, he was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I think. He had bit roles. He was in The Big Chill, wasn't he?
He's done 125 movies.
Yeah, let me look this up.
He acts in so many movies, my word.
I think,
what did he do before?
I think this was probably one of his first big roles. I mean, he was in Buckaroo Banzai, but that doesn't count. That was such a niche thing. So,
Man, he was on Laverne and Shirley. That's where people get their start. They do these bit roles in big TV shows, and then they get...
Yeah, he was big in TV too. But yeah, I mean, this was one of his first leading roles. I mean, this is the type of movie they made in the 80s, babe. It's just like weird kind of sci-fi body horror type stuff.
Well, you know,
he married Gina Davis.
Oh, did he for a while after this movie?
Yeah.
I guess she kind of liked the way he looked, huh?
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So before we get into that, I want you to tell, because you had never seen this movie, so I want you to tell me what you thought of this movie.
I had never seen this movie. I have seen it in like preview, or not previews, but those like little 30-minute pre-shows that they do at Draft House. So I knew what the movie essentially was.
Yeah, I feel like the cultural osmosis of this movie was very high. Most people know the general concept of this film.
I wouldn't say that I loved it. I would not say that I hated it. I was definitely disgusted by a lot of his transformation. And I think that kind of turned me off of it a little bit, but not enough to be like, oh my gosh, that's the worst movie ever. I would never watch it again. It was just something that I would have to watch if I knew I was not going to be sick to my stomach or throw anything up, because it was really gross. Like the oozing stuff out of his fingers, and when they peeled off, like I've actually had a nail that has come off, a toenail that has come off of like that before. And number one, it's extremely painful. And number two, then to have that gunk coming out of you. Like whenever I was little and I got bit by fleas, I'm allergic to fleas. And so I would get like this little bubble on my skin.
Elyse,
and
why did you have fleas as a child?
I didn't have fleas,
Elyse,
but I did have a dog that had fleas once. And then they got in the house and I loved the dog. And so the fleas bit me. And then we had to give the dog a bath. We only had outdoor dogs when we were little. We weren't allowed to have indoor dogs until Bailey. She was a little dog. But I would get these bites and it would have like this top layer of skin and it would bubble up. And it would be like a bubble that you could like push on your skin, and you'd have to take a needle and pop it. And then like this stuff would ooze out of it, and it was gross. And it would be like, if I was covered with those and those little things would ooze out, it'd be like the fly. But
how did I know that that this movie would get more Elyse gross body stuff?
I don't know. How did you know? So yeah, I didn't love it. I wouldn't even necessarily say I liked it. I would be a solid 0. I'm neither positive nor negative.
Okay.
I'm completely neutral unless you're talking about disgust. And then I would maybe go a little bit more negative, because I don't think being disgusted to the point where you could lose your cookies, it's not worth losing the cookies. The cookies are too good. You want to keep them in your belly.
You can't lose the cookies.
So you can't lose the cookies. So I don't know how many times I'd want to rewatch it, especially if I had cookies, because I don't want to lose the cookies.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that good enough of an explanation for you?
I think that's fair.
Hashtag don't lose the cookies.
I think Jeff Goldblum is so good in this movie.
He was great in it. I'll agree with you on that.
He has to play a lot of different things, because he's got to play like the awkward Einsteinian scientist at first, and then when he first goes through the teleporter, he's got to play like the badass, like sex crazed dude, which
is just Jeff Goldblum.
Okay, Elyse, I'm a happily married man. I love you. Mm-hmm. This movie kind of made me want to fuck Jeff Goldblum.
I'd be okay with that.
When he is doing the gymnastics with the shirt off.
That's not him.
When he's doing the gymnastics in his weird lab apartment with the shirt off, and he's spinning around. Yeah. And he's man. Mm-hmm.
I know. I got you right there.
You know.
What Olympic athlete was playing that? Yeah. That's what I want to know. Invite him over.
It was Jeff. It was all Jeff.
Well, invite Jeff over.
Yeah.
But now he's older, and I don't know if he would do that still.
But he has such a presence. I mean, it's Jeff Goldblum. It's his Jeff Goldblum-osity.
And this is like the type, he hasn't even necessarily like settled into who Jeff Goldblum really is and that just like weird person.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like him getting to do that before it was established that that was going to be who he was.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got that whole exploration phase that sometimes people do. And he just got to, I say start out because I guess this is more of like his first movie-ish type role that like launched him into anything. And so that kind of just catapulted him into being able to be, I guess, that type of character type actor that I think he does the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I think this is a very tough, this is not an easy role. Like I said, he has to play many different stages of this transformation and the detail on it. Like, I love when the transformation starts getting worse. Like, he's covered in makeup. He's covered in like, he almost doesn't look like Jeff Goldblum anymore. He looks like Brundlefly. Mm-hmm. And he's like the twitching that he does, like the insect like twitching that he does is just so incredible and so believable. And I think he just does so well at it. And it couldn't have been easy.
I wonder what animal he studied in order to kind of mimic, because I don't think it was an actual fly. You think he studied actual flies?
Flies like twitch a lot and their limbs are jerky and just kind of the way they work. But I think the unsung hero in this movie, because obviously Jeff Goldblum takes a lot of the spotlight.
Yeah.
Gina Davis is really fucking good in this movie. I think she's fantastic. And she's really the emotional core. She's almost the protagonist of the movie. You kind of think at first it's him, but I think she's the lead because this is her story. And like when she's having to deal with the fact that she might
have a maggot growing inside of her.
Be pregnant with his fly baby, which they made a sequel to this movie, Elyse.
Oh, was it the fly baby?
Yeah.
The fly baby happened?
Yeah, it's not great. But she's so good in this, and she like has to carry, like I said, she has to carry all that emotional weight. Like I said, this is a metaphor for abusive relationships. That line when he tells her, "You have to leave, I'll hurt you if you stay," is an abusive, destructive relationship. And like the idea that you can see the person you love becoming this monster and you still love them and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And it's a matter of like, when do you leave them behind? When do you cut off? When do you pick up the shotgun and shoot their fly corpse in the face because they went through a teleporter and combined with the door of the teleporter in a horrible, terrible combination. And this, like, the idea of that monstrousness being carried forward into your child and how terrifying that is. I love the central metaphor at the heart of this movie, and I think it doesn't work without Gina Davis in that role. It really doesn't. I think she's fantastic.
She was really good.
Yeah. I love this movie.
I liked her in The League of Your Own too. A League of Their Own. A League of Their Own.
And so, I mean, I'm trying to think of what other body horror films I could show you to like, this is one of the big ones on why I like this. And I just think I get, like, this is never going to be something that's like your bag. Like, it's just not going to be.
If it's going to make me sick at my stomach or be like, oh, whoa, then I don't like it.
I just think
a movie that makes me physically uncomfortable in a negative way, I don't like it. Like, I just looked up there and saw the movie Mother. If it makes me like that, if it makes my stomach
really
sick for disgusting, if it makes me tense up, like it makes me stressed, I don't like that. I go to movies because I like to have a good time. I like to be able to relax. And movies that don't let me relax or make me feel sick, not my cup of tea.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I love the idea of mutating bodies and the central horror of that. Like there's something just very like base and animalistic about your body changing and beyond your control. Like the terror that I remember when his ear comes off and he's just like, he has this panicking mode, and Goldblum does such a good job, which he's like, oh, my ear. And it's like this just wonderful moment of just like sheer terror. And you're realizing that your body is changing and falling apart in front of you. And there's just something so basically human about that, and that central fear. And I think that's something that Cronenberg really loves to explore, this fear of the unknown within our own biology. And that's why I love body horror so much.
Well, it's good that you love it so they can make it and you can go watch them
without you. And
it's good that they make movies like A Little Princess so that I can go watch them without you.
That's true.
And like the kissing booth.
I think it's don't get me started.
I loved the kissing booth. Guys, go watch the kissing booth on Netflix. It's not a great movie, but it's good if you need to do the laundry.
It's a disgusting movie. Do you know she just turned 18 when she filmed that movie?
Nope.
The movie that makes her naked like 20 times.
Naked.
No, but it takes off her. The movie's obsessed with her butt. It's the fucking most disturbing thing. Ugh. That was a gross movie. It's a gross movie.
Kissing booth.
Don't watch it.
I thought it was fun.
Okay, so I think that is it about The Fly.
Oh, that's a beep. I don't know if it's a really.
I think
if
it
it's
works
a big
for a
fly. It works for a fly too.
The fly that was in here yesterday.
It was making noise.
Made
like
that noise. Like the camera, or the camera, the microphone would have. Oh, that's my computer making noises. The microphone would have caught it for sure.
So Scott, we remade the website. What are we going to do next week?
Next week, it's a disaster.
Why?
Because your
Our school's not done yet.
Your classroom is a disaster.
It's not a disaster. It's going to be chaotic. But you know what? Out of chaos is greatness. What's that quote about chaos?
It's a ladder.
No, there's some quote about chaos, and out of chaos is beauty or something like that. Anyways, look it up, guys. Out of great chaos is great beauty.
It's a disaster.
So we're just going to do disaster movies.
Yep. Our favorite disaster movies. Turns out Elyse has not seen
It turns out I have only seen, I think, one disaster movie, and Scott's seen it, obvi. So we're just going to watch the one disaster movie that I have seen and that I love because my teenage crush was in it.
What is your movie, Elyse?
The Day After Tomorrow, which is also just real life what's happening today.
Yeah, I mean, it's this climate change. It's happening. Mm-hmm. This movie is
Dennis Quaid, he's right.
This movie is completely scientifically accurate about climate change.
It really is.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
We'll rewatch it and then we'll be like, oh my gosh, it's real.
All right. I thought about this long and hard because, see, once again, you've picked a theme that gives me so many different movies to choose from. I could basically chosen from any disaster movies. But I wanted to pick one that I saw within the last couple of years that I think is an example of how other countries can make disaster movies, which we've kind of had a monopoly on, better than us. We do. So
because
I chose.
Sometimes we're not the greatest country in the world.
Most of the times. I chose the 2015 Norwegian film The Wave, which is a movie about. I think there's a collapsing shelf in a fjord, and it creates a giant tidal wave that hits a little Norwegian town. And I saw this movie at Fantastic Fest in 2015. I thought it was great, and it actually got a pretty wide release for a foreign film. And we haven't really done any foreign films on this podcast yet, so
and you haven't seen it since we've actually been to Norway.
I know. I'm going to say,
so I wonder if some of these places you'll have seen.
I recognize that town getting destroyed.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. So I think
loved Norway.
I think it's a very well done disaster movie that I think is going to be fun to talk about. And we'll get to listen to some Norwegian for a couple hours.
I love Norwegian.
I know.
Not based on the book, The Wave. I learned that.
No, it is not based on the book, The Wave. It is based on it's just the movie.
Yeah.
All right. So that is all we have time for you guys this week. If you like this podcast, you can check out it and all the other shows we do over at www.doofmedia.com. Also consider donating to our Patreon account. It's patreon.com/doofmedia. Daily Planet Films is no more. You cannot type that. It is Doof Media.
Okay. Can we pause really quick, though? Because you renamed all of the levels, and they are brilliant.
Wait.
Can we share them?
Do you really like them?
Yes, I really do like them. They're really fun.
All right.
So the dollar level was what?
Planeteers.
A Planeteer. And now, if you donate $1, that means you are...
A Bidoof, which is a Pokemon.
Badoop.
Yeah. The $10 level was Captain's Planet.
He's a hero.
And now it's the Doof Troop. like a goof troop.
Like the goof troop. Goofy.
And that's $20 level is it was Kryptonians, and now it's Doof Warriors, who is the character from Mad Max Fury Road. And then at the $45 level, Supreme Leader Doof, just because I found a funny picture of Supreme Leader Snoke and thought it was funny. I don't know. But those are our new levels.
He looks like he would like Doof.
I think he would too.
I think he would too.
Yeah.
He looks like a doofus.
Yeah.
And sorry, I interrupted. I just really liked the names, and so I wanted to share them with everyone.
That's absolutely fine. And lastly, if you are listening to this via Apple Podcasts, why don't you head on over to that app and leave us a rating and a review. Elyse.
Just click on over. Yeah.
Do we have a new review this week?
Ding, 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 ding. New review, new review, new review. Ding, 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 ding.
Why don't you
new
read
review.
it? Whoa, why don't you read it for us?
Okay, so, oh my gosh, this adorable married couple, Scott, that's us, makes listening to movies that I've never seen, and in most of Elyse's cases, never want to see.
Good call.
Which is rude.
Good call.
Entertaining from start to finish. Additionally, I get just as much fun out of listening to the Rose Thorn segments and general bicker banter as the movie reviews. Whether it's Elyse's weird body stuff, which, you know, like the fact that I don't like body horror, but I talk about my gross, disgusting body stuff is just kind of ironic, I guess.
It is very ironic.
Whether it's Elyse's weird body stuff, Scott retching over The Bachelor and or jiving to a movie decades my senior, I always have a good hour thanks to Vow to View.
Why did you go like Southern Belle at the end there?
I don't know, just gotta keep it lively. Gotta change it up.
Who gave us that review?
TMS, and TMS stands for that man's
Scrotum.
scrotum. That's what I was thinking too.
Oh boy.
I'm just kidding. Every time I see TMS's acronym, I always try and think of what it is, because he's told me I'm never going to guess it. I bet you didn't think I was ever going to guess that man's scrotum, which means I bet you that's what it is. Right, TMS?
All right.
Sorry.
All right, guys. That's all we got this week. We'll see you next week for disaster movies.
Stubble. I should have said stubble. That man's stubble. That would have been more appropriate.
No,
right?
scrotum was perfect because we both went there.